This is what the first full day of a pandemic election campaign looks like.
Hey, Dawn.
Hey, Dawn, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
The NDP still has a bus, but unmarked outside and only about a third full inside. The BC Liberal leader is driving himself around on the campaign trail, and the Greens are also scaling down to a COVID-conducive campaign. At John Horgan's first official campaign event, masks are mandatory and physical distancing is in place. A handful of reporters are on site, but most call in with questions.
Just a reminder to reporters on the phone line, please press *1 to get in the queue.
The usual hordes of media embedded with the parties and the candidates rallying the crowds at big events noticeably absent this time, and the leaders themselves are shifting their strategies accordingly.
We want to make sure that we're engaging with people, but we want to do it in a way that keeps them safe. And that's going to mean a lot of time on the telephone, a lot of time in small group meetings.
This is a pandemic election. It's going to be conducted in ways that we've never contemplated before.
Andrew Wilkinson's answer to an unprecedented campaign: more public access to the leaders through their television screens.
So we're proposing and we're challenging the other parties to have 3 leaders' debates.
As for the vote itself, Elections BC is bracing for an unprecedented number of ballots in the mail. Typically, only 1% of ballots are cast by mail. This time around, it's projected to spike to 35%. Last election, a total of 6,500 people voted by mail. By 6:30 this morning, Elections BC had already received 20,000 requests for mail-in ballots. And for those planning to vote in person, there will be capacity limits, protective barriers, and PPE for election volunteers.
Most voters will likely only spend minutes inside a voting place. Casting your vote be like getting a takeout coffee or picking up milk and eggs from the grocery store.
This year, there will only be one additional day of advanced voting compared to 2017. And schools, which made up nearly half of polling stations last election, will be used, but only for the general vote on Saturday, October 24th, and the weekend before for advanced voting.
Okay, Tanya, much quieter campaign trail than we were used to. So given the significant number of mail-in ballots expected, so what is this going to mean for tabulating final votes?
Yeah, typically the absentee ballots aren't tallied until 13 days after the general election day. So with a huge increase, as we saw in the number of mail-in ballots expected this time, it could take weeks to tabulate all of them. That means if the races in some ridings are simply too close to call on election night, it is technically possible we won't know who won for sure well after October 24th. Leanne?
All right, we will stay tuned. Thanks, Tanya. Tanya Fletcher reporting for us this evening.